If the save statistic didn't exist, would we even care about Gabe Kapler's decision in the ninth inning Wednesday in Baltimore? Think about it. Unless the move backfires, rarely do pitching changes in the seventh or eighth innings become major talking points. But in this case, because a save was taken out from under Edubray Ramos, many have questioned the necessity of Kapler's move to Hector Neris with 2 outs and nobody on. The element of this debate that does invite criticism is that Ramos was rolling. He had struck out 2 batters on 6 pitches and looked more than capable of retiring strikeout-prone lefty Chris Davis to end the game. But as far as valuing matchups over the save statistic, it's hard to find a whole lot of fault with that. From the minor leagues on up, the Phillies want to create an organization in which players do not feel locked into roles, whether it's relievers or position players. It's what Kapler wants and what the Phillies want, and the night before Kapler made that interesting decision in Baltimore, he discussed why the Phils hold this philosophy. "We have a lot of respect for players having emotional connections to roles," Kapler said earlier this week. "And it's not just relievers but also guys who play every day or come off the bench, they like to get in routines and rhythms. We need to be aware of that, and respect it, but the game is valuing guys who are a little bit more flexible in a different way than they ever have," Kapler continued. "I personally believe that there is a mental toughness that comes along with a guy who can come to the ballpark every day and just be like, use me however you want to use me. Put me in any situation, I'm game for anything." That's a hard thing to do. For that reason, we move slowly and we think long about the decisions that we make. I think that eventually, players will realize how much value they bring to the team when they're flexible. And then they'll also realize, and this is just my personal opinion, that clubs will eventually pay for that. So it will, in turn, be a win for them and for the club at the same time, and that's a pretty cool thing." Many view the save as an arbitrary, outdated stat. "It's pretty silly that it can be applied to a 3-run lead the same as it can be applied to a bases-loaded, no-out jam in a 1-run game. But saves and games finish do have practical meaning to players because those counting stats can help them earn more money in arbitration. Eventually, perhaps that reduces what someone like Ramos could be paid in a few years, but the Phillies are focused on this ready-for-anything mentality from their players. So don't be surprised if this happens over and over again in the ninth inning and no Philly accumulates more than 15 saves. Wednesday was only a sign of what's to come in the ensuing months and years. Box score Street. Lewis, the starting pitching that the Phillies have been getting lately just makes you say, wow. Vince Velasquez has offered up the gem du jour in Thursday night's 6-2 win over the Street. Louis Cardinals at Busch Stadium. Featuring a power, 4-seam fastball that topped out at 97.8 miles per hour, Velasquez pitched 6 and a third shutout innings. He walked 2 and struck out 5. He received an ace assist from rookie Seranthony Dominguez, who retired 2 batters after the Cardinals had put runners on second and third with 1 out in the 7th inning and the Phils nursing a 1-0 lead. Velasquez has won his last 3 starts, allowing just 4 runs in 17 and a third innings. The Phillies, who entered the day a game behind Atlanta in the NL East, were now 9 games over .500 at 25-16. They are 24-12 since their 1-4 start. They are 17-2 against teams from outside the division. The Phils have won 8 of their last 10 games and are just a pair of ninth-inning blown saves from 10 straight wins. The starting pitching has been pretty amazing over those 10 games. It has given up just 8 earned runs in 62 and a third innings over that span. That's a 1.15 ERA. St. Louis right-hander Luke Weaver limited the Phillies to just 4 hits over 7 innings, but one of them landed far over the center field wall. That was Carlos Santana's 7th homer of the season, a booming 437-foot bomb in the 5th inning. The homer staked the Phils to a 1-0 lead. Santana hit just .153 with 2 homers and 11 RBIs in the first month of the season. He has warmed considerably in May. The home run was his 6th in 13 games this month and he has 17 RBIs. The Phillies scored 3 runs in the 8th to take a 4-0 lead. Aaron Alder had a 2-run single and Odubel Herrera an RBI single. Herrera had 2 hits and a walk. He has reached base in 43 straight games, dating to last season, and leads the majors with a .363 batting average. After the Cardinals cut the Phillies' lead to 2 in the bottom of the 8th, the Phillies pulled away on a 2-run homer by Pedro Florimon in the 9th. Edubray Ramos loaded the bases before getting the final 3 outs for the Phillies. Notes lefty reliever Adam Morgan, who had been sidelined with a back strain, was activated from the disabled list. Pitching for the first time in 11 days, he got a huge out in the 8th inning. He is the only lefty on the Phillies staff. J.P. Crawford took early batting practice and infield work, then headed off to Clearwater to ramp up his rehab from a right forearm strain. Crawford said he was pain-free. He hopes to be playing in minor league games by the end of next week. Jared Eichhoff is expected to make his next rehab start Sunday for AAA Lehigh Valley. Eichhoff is fully recovered from a lat strain suffered in spring training. He is building his innings and pitch counts and should be ready to come off the disabled list by the end of the month. Still to be determined is where he will slot into the rotation. Phillies starters entered Thursday night with a 3.46 ERA, 6th best in the majors. Baltimore, Phillies fans were well represented in the rain-soaked crowd, generously announced at 29,706, Wednesday afternoon at Camden Yards. You could tell by all the red Phillies jerseys in the seats, and the handful of EAGLES chants that were sounded throughout the afternoon. Oh, yeah, and you could tell from the very noticeable boos that accompanied manager Gabe Kapler's decision to remove Edubray Ramos after 6 dominant pitches and 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning of what ended up as a 4-1 Phillies win over the Baltimore Orioles. See First Take. Seconds after Ramos fanned Mark Trumbo on a sharp slider, Kapler popped out of the dugout and sauntered to the mound. He raised his right hand to bring Hector Neris into the game to face lefty slugger Chris Davis. As Kapler took the ball from Ramos, Phillies fans booed. They sounded off again when Neris began his trot in from the bullpen. Clearly, they had not forgotten Neris' blown save Friday night against the Mets, nor the one he had 5 days earlier in Washington. Without those 2 9th-inning blown saves, the Phillies would be sitting on a 9-game winning streak. Neris quickly turned the boos into cheers. He fell behind Davis 2-0 before going fastball splitter to retire Davis on a ground ball to second baseman Cesar Hernandez, who, by the way, had a huge game with a homer, a triple and 2 runs scored. See story. Some might view Kapler's decision to remove a dominant Ramos with no one on base and 1 out from registering a save as a classic case of over-managing. But Kapler had his reasons. Since spring training, Kapler has said he would run his late-game bullpen based on matchups. In fact, he has never named a closer, though Neris, at least before his struggles last week, had gotten the bulk of the reps when the team had a lead in the ninth. Kapler said he went to Neris because he liked the way his splitter, which can tumble down and away from a lefty hitter, would play against Davis's left-handed power bat. Hector matched up beautifully with Chris Davis, Kapler said, but there was more to Kapler's decision to go to Neris. He wanted to give the right-hander an opportunity to restore some confidence. We wanted to bring him in and give him an opportunity to finish the game for us like we knew he could, Kapler said. One of the things we've maintained from spring training is we're going to put our players in the best positions to have success. There are times when we want to instill confidence. One of the ways we can instill confidence is by matching our guys up effectively. It's not always going to work out that way. Obviously, they're going to get beat sometimes by the competition where they match up well. But in this particular case, I thought Ramos matched up good against the righties and Neris matched up good against the lefties. More importantly, we had confidence in all of them. Had we left Ramos out there to finish the inning, we thought he would have done a great job. But we liked Hector there because of the split. What's on, it's tremendous, as we saw today. We liked Ramos' slider against two right-handed hitters. So he walks out of here feeling like $1 million. Who else is going to feel like $1 million? Hector Neris. He just got a huge out for us. It's not always going to work out like this. But this is what we believe, putting our pitchers in the best positions to have success.